Hey, welcome back to another episode of The One Where. My name is David, and I'm running solo tonight. Jamie is occupied, but hopefully y'all are excited for a prepping episode. So ended up not being able to do our Patreon-only live stream last hour. We had the kids tonight. I cooked dinner, and we were playing games with the kids, and then it just kind of time got away from me. So yeah, I was doing that, but I did want to squeeze this in because the kids are all starting to wind down now. So thought we'd hop on and have a chat, talk about some stuff. So before we get into it, again, thank you so much for jumping on the live. Let's see what we got on tonight. We have Bertrand. How do you pronounce that? Bertrand Ricks. We got Matt Henrik. We got Christian Mojica. What is up? Matt, Christian, and awesome. Okay, so yeah, tonight's great comment here. What's the first thing you do when the power goes out? That's what we're talking about tonight. So tonight we're going to do a little bit of a scenario, because I find that when we put ourselves into certain scenarios and we actually pause to think about things, all of a sudden you start realizing, oh, I need a plan, and you're like, oh, what would I actually do? It's easy to say, oh, if the power goes out, I know what to do, right? Like I think we all can say that, but the reality is, okay, if the power goes out right now, what am I going to do? And so, yeah, thankfully, there's Bertrand Ricks has a generator, a Generac generator. Christian wants to get a generator. Generators are hugely helpful. What's up, Fred Nuts? How you doing? Welcome. Bert Hendricks. What is my problem? Is that really, am I that dense? I am so dense tonight. Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's like my wife always says, I'm the beauty and she's the brains. Yeah, Bert Hendricks. Wow. I'm all right, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna pretend like that didn't happen because that's just ridiculous. All right. Well, Bert Hendricks, welcome. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, this is why I need Jamie on my live streams, because she would have caught that in about a half second. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. So call the electric company. That's a good first step. So actually, okay. So before we get into it, the purpose of this is just kind of a play on scenario to kind of talk through some things and think through some things. And I didn't do a whole lot of prep beforehand because I wanted to kind of think and talk with y'all and not just go on an hour-long spiel, although I will spiel a little bit. So hopefully you can bear with me for that. CJP, how are you? I do have a house full of kids, so if you guys hear some extra noise banging on the ceiling or whatever, they're upstairs. I did kick them out of my filming area, but you know how it is. How was my Halloween? Halloween was awesome. Ended up, Jamie and I went out Friday night. I was the Big Bad Wolf, and she was Little Red Riding Hood. We went to one place, and the music was so-so and not really loving it. So we went to this other place, better band, better venue overall, I guess, in a way, and had a lot of fun. We had a great night. And we didn't win any costume awards or anything, but we did have a lot of fun. Today, I have been literally cooking and doing errands and chores all day. So basically ended up, I ended up doing smoked. I smoked these jalapeno poppers. So you get jalapeno, you stuff in cream cheese and seasoning and stuff, and you wrap it in bacon. Anyway, I smoked a bunch of those. And then I also took steak and I wrapped that in bacon, soaked it in soy sauce and brown sugar, and put that on the smoker. And then I also smoked chicken wings. So I was running the smoker for a long time today. Had a great time, had all the kids down. We had a lot of fun. Okay. What would you do when the power goes out? So hopefully you have some ideas of what you would do when the power goes out. Just as kind of like a basic acknowledgement for where I'm at. So I'm on grid power. We do have like a generator plug-in spot on this house, and we do have we've got the main fuse box, but we got the little secondary one that you can flip over and run just off the generator, which is super cool to have. And we do live out in the country, and we tend to lose power pretty often when there's storms, just from tree limbs and whatnot coming down. So normally for us, when the power goes out, it's not a freak out kind of thing, because we probably lose power once every 3 or 4 months for at least a few minutes or an hour. Cletus, how you doing, man? Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, I did have we did have the chance to go to the Indiana Maryland game yesterday up in College Park, Maryland. Had a great time. One of our best friends' daughter's dating one of the football players on the Indiana team, and so he got us all tickets. I actually ended up sitting next to the player's dad. We talked for a bit. Really kind of a cool dude. Cool kind of story for his son, who's obviously playing really well this season. He's a senior and graduating, so he'll be moving on and trying for the NFL as next step. So very cool, very cool. And Indiana dominated. Not like I'm a big Indiana fan per se, but we'll cheer on family and friends. So that was good. Okay, so from a generator standpoint, we have an EcoFlow, what is it, Delta Pro 3, I think it is. Plus we have one of the secondary batteries that can go on top. I think I've done a short about it. And so you have the main one, and then you have the secondary battery bank that sits on top. So it's, I think, 3,000. I think the main unit's 3,000 watt hours, and then the secondary one's another 3,000 or close to that. So you end up with like 5,500 to 6,000 watt hours. Really cool system. We've got solar panels to charge it and everything else. So I feel like we're in a good spot. And I tend to keep it, I'll top it off every couple of months if we haven't used it, just top it off by plugging it into the wall outlet. So I feel like from just the basics, like I feel like we're okay when it comes to like generator, at least as good as we can where we are right this second. But really the first thing, I learned this trick a while back, that the first thing that you do when the power goes out to your home is there a justifiable reason? If there's a thunderstorm going on and your power goes out, well, yeah, okay. Lightning hit a transformer, trees fell over a power line near you, etc. It's like you almost like, okay, I'm not scared because I know what it probably was. Okay. However, if it's not a storm, right? If there's no snow, there's no rain, no thunder, no lightning, it's not raining outside, then the power goes out. Well, then what do? That's the time when I start to get freaked out, right? There's no real good reason. Now, the first thing that I do when the power goes out is I grab my cell phone and I check to make sure my cell phone's still on. And the reason I do that is because if there were ever an EMP or Carrington level solar flare, something like that, solar storm, if it's bad enough to pull down the power grid, it's also likely bad enough to bring down the fancy electronics, right? So if your power goes out and your phone dies at the exact same time, doing some detective work there, it's probably some kind of a EMP electrical system problem, which could indicate something even more severe than you could imagine. So that's the first thing I do. And it's almost instinctive. If the power goes out and there's not a storm, I'm immediately checking my phone. The second thing is, normally, at least in our house, when the power goes out, that means the internet goes out. So we have our internet comes through our cable company, and the Wi-Fi router is connected to the wall. And so if the power goes out without the generator, it's all out. So we lose internet. So I, again, bring my phone up. I check internet. Does my cell phone still have connection to the towers? And can I bring up the internet? Okay. So now if I've done that and I have internet on my phone, even though my router's out, that means I'm doing cellular data, and cellular data is working. Again, not super nervous. Something happened. Maybe somebody ran into a pole or something like that, but it's not a serious regional big problem. However, if I bring my phone up, and this actually happened this past winter, we had an ice storm, and the phone, we lost power. My phone had power, but it wouldn't connect to the cell towers. And we actually were out without internet completely. We had no cell coverage for like two days, I think it was. And so that's, again, a bigger thing here. Fred says, we lost power because neighbors fed pigeons and they crapped on the transformers so much it shorted out. That is a lot of pigeon crap. So definitely man, can you imagine the smell of that? All that pigeon crap on the hot transformer? Matt says a few weeks ago we had a transformer literally explode and fell to the road below, taking all the wires with it. Yeah, that's going to take a couple days. Great question. Capsaic Cat. Do I have any military? No, not former military at all. Legit survival training, not in particular. You know, I've obviously spent a lot of time in the woods, a lot of time camping, and not like spent a lot of time backpacking, a lot of time camping. Done, you know, firearms for years and years and years, and I've done some firearms trainings. I've done some competitive shooting as well. So, but no, I'm a normal guy. Yeah, but see, I'm not gonna come here and tell you that I'm the end all be all either. I'm on a journey like many of you. So, good question. Good question. Okay, thank you, Capsaicin. Oh, Capsaicin. Okay, what is my brain on tonight? I can't pronounce anybody's name. Capsaicin, like the stuff in peppers. There we go. Capsaicin Cat. Thank you. Appreciate that. Spelling it out. Yeah, Matt, I need a host. I need a sidekick to help me with these things. And Jamie's not around tonight. Anyway, so that's kind of where my brain goes when the power first goes out. Is it a short? Oh, Capsaicin's a Marine vet. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Combat instructor. Very cool. Very cool. And thanks for being here. We got some other military folks on right now as well. Love the military folks. Appreciate all of your service. So thank you very much. Okay. So yeah. Sorry, I lost my place. Where's my brain? Okay. So once I narrow it down, so is it a storm? Maybe, maybe not. Is it a major thing, or can I still get internet through cellular data? If you can't get internet through cellular data, you're literally in a complete blackout. If your landline is not working, your power is out, and your cell phone will not connect to a tower, now you're actually in a true grid down situation that may be very short. I mean, because the power could come back up in a couple hours, or it may take a couple days, weeks, months, or, you know, who knows? Maybe it's the end of society. What's up, VA Bourbon fan? I'll let you military folks go back and forth just a little bit. And actually, okay. So true. I've never been in the military. I did try to join, but I have a medical issue with my eyes that disqualify me from anything. And so just it was honestly about 6 months before 9/11. I went to recruiter's office because I want to do combat engineering. That was actually what I was thinking about doing. And I was a sophomore in college, and I was going to enlist, but anyway, didn't happen. Couldn't do it. But so that's as far as I got, was the recruiter's office, before I was told my eyesight disqualified me. Christian lived during Hurricane Sandy. We were out of power for 2 weeks. I started taking preparatory sleep more serious after that. Yeah. So after Hurricane Sandy hit y'all up in New Jersey and New York, my church was actually doing a big service trip up there, and so we ended up me and some of the other guys got together, and we bussed up and we actually helped clean up there for 3 days, maybe. I think it was 2 days, 2 nights, 3 days, something like that. We were up there just trying to rip out insulation and drag stuff to the street to get towed away, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, if you're out in the country, a lot of this stuff is like becomes secondhand. A lot of the prepping stuff becomes secondhand, because if you're out in the country and you're not that close to town, it's not like you're going to be running into town every day for food, right? You're going to have stuff in your fridge. You're going to have stuff in the pantry, because, you know, it might be, you know, you might only go into town once a week, or maybe even once every couple of days. So you end up having more in stock, and you're not living out of the grocery store or living out of fast food at that point, which is pretty cool. And so, okay. So once you've kind of got in your brain what could possibly be happening that caused the power to go out, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you should do. I'm going to tell you what I would do, because I know my situation, my house, and everything else. And maybe it'll be instructive. Hopefully it'll be instructive for you and give you some ideas of what to think about. When the power goes out, the first thing I'm going to do, after checking my phone and kind of processing for 20 seconds of what it could be, to help me gauge my reaction, the next thing is to actually go check on everybody. So obviously your phone has a light on it. Everybody's phone has lights. They're not very good. And plus you have the secondary problem of if you shine your light at stuff, the screen is shooting at you, which illuminates you, makes it harder to see past the glare, etc. So I usually actually carry a pocket flashlight. Sometimes when I'm around the house, not so much, but this is the one that I tend to carry. This is which one is this one? This is a Through Night Archer Pro. I switched to this one as my EDC flashlight a long time ago. One thing I like about it is the clip on it, because when I'm wearing my gym shorts, I can actually clip it into the side and it makes it so it doesn't fall out, which is kind of handy. So, but yeah, first thing is to go check on everybody. And then what I've done in the past is go and either grab headlamps or flashlights for everybody. And I get them their flashlights. So I've got a few stashed by my nightstand. I've got a few in the junk drawer in the kitchen. And then I've got a bunch down in my prep stuff. So I basically just make sure everybody's got a flashlight and, make sure they're okay, settle them down if anybody's worked up about anything. After that, the next thing that I do is make sure that my firearms are where they should be. I'm going to tell you what that means, but I have certain firearms at certain places with certain things ready for situations. And so I want to make sure that they're there ready where I want them to be. So I put them there and then we're good to go. That's, again, a quick check. So at this point, we're 2-3 minutes in. I've checked on everybody. Obviously, make sure the doors are locked. And we're pretty good about locking the doors. If we're in the house, doors are locked. If we leave, the doors are locked. Like I'm just that's how it goes. Now, if the power's out, if you have a security system, your security system is out. So clearly you want to make sure all the doors are locked. And if possible, just be cognizant of the fact that, we get so used, like in our house, we have one of those things where when any of the doors or windows in the house opens, the alarm beeps. You get that little like beep kind of thing. So I'm always like, when a door opens and I'm not expecting a door to open, I hear that beep. Obviously the hairs stand up on the back of my neck and I, start to react to it. Well, when the power's out, you're not going to get that. So it's completely dead, completely quiet. All the machine, that's the little constant hum of the refrigerator or the furnace or the other electrical stuff in your house, all of a sudden it just goes quiet. It's kind of an eerie thing when it happens at first. Just get that kind of real quiet in your house. Just everything just goes. And you didn't realize there was that much noise, but there's actually so much noise in your house. So, catching up on comments. Capsaicin and Matt talking about their service. Very cool. One thing folks miss with all this is your physical fitness. 100%. No, I actually last live stream last week, we talked about physical fitness and bugging out gear, et cetera, et cetera. And because I had actually put on full kit, and I put on a 33-pound backpack along with a full chest rig, body armor, and my battle belt. And I got on the treadmill and I just did a mile, right? And it didn't kill me or anything, but just the pressure, which was something I'm not used to having not been in the military, the pressure of the compression pressure between your chest and your back with the body armor, that kind of sucking you in, plus the weight of all the magazines on the chest rig weighing you down on the front, plus the 33-pound pack on the back, everything's pressing in. And that's something that was interesting to me, something I hadn't really had a lot of experience with. And so, the physical fitness thing is definitely very important, particularly in a bug out situation. And that can be, capsaicin. Yep, know all about that. Yeah, that compression thing's a very weird feeling if you're not used to it. And so, yep, no, Fred, you're right. And actually, and the pack I had on was it was an assault style pack, one of those 3 days assault style packs. It didn't have a waist belt or anything. And I had just thrown a 25-pound plate in, 25-pound weight plate and a 5-pound weight plate. And then the pack itself was 3 pounds. So that's where it kind of added everything together. So yeah, that was fun though. That was fun. Oh, inversion tables are awesome. I don't use mine as much as I should, but I have one. I don't pull it out very often, but they are super helpful. Oh, homesite engineering. You tried that experiment yesterday. I'd love to know how that went for you. I'd love to hear that. So definitely, if you be willing to type it up, I'd love to hear how the experiment went. Because I'm telling you, if you haven't put on your kit, right? If you haven't put it on, you haven't tried it out all together, right? You don't want to just put my pack on. It's not that bad. I'm sure it'd be fine with the other stuff. Literally put everything on like you would. I went with what I was doing wasn't my full bug out thing, but it was more of like a prepared civilian type loadout. So if I had to do something as a prepared civilian with my rifle and my full kit and stuff, that's what I wanted the experience of. So end up in the lazy boy, then called it a day. Well, if you put everything on and just sat in the lazy boy, I mean, at least you'd kind of feel what it felt like a little bit, and you could imagine the challenge there. So that works too. Matt or Fred says, Matt, the thing that is the most is not using the hips. That helps trying to carry it all on the shoulders. Yeah, no, yeah. Having that balance pack is having that balance of the weight across your body, particularly on your the pack on your whole body as opposed to just your shoulders is super helpful as well. All right. Okay. So doors are locked. Everybody's checked on. Everybody's got a flashlight. Or if they're sleeping, whatever, that's fine. The next thing that I'm going to do now, I'm going to say that this scenario, it's not a power outage from a storm because there's no storm, or at least not one near me. And I've lost signal. My cell phone won't connect to the cell tower. So it's at least affected enough of the area around me that I can't get cell signal. So no cell signal, no battery, or no power to the house, and no phone. I've made sure that my doors are locked. I've made sure everybody's okay and they've got lights. Next thing I'm going to do, yeah. Now is the big question, right? Like, what's your plan? Like, what are you going to do? And the reality is, at this point, it's almost like, pulling up the radio is probably the next step. If there's no like dire emergency that's calling my attention, the next step is to go grab a radio. Just an old school AM FM radio or Baofeng or whatever, and start trying to pull it up and try to hear what's going on. I have my preps in such a state that I don't have like if I lose power, I got to do A, B, C, and D. Or blah, blah. I'm not flipping over to the generator at this point. One is I don't want to draw attention to the generator that quickly, especially if it's a big situation. I know a lot of you have like the cutovers, the automatic cutovers. Like as soon as the power goes out, generator kicks on, boom. If you want to do that, that's cool, especially in like storm season. But it's that scenario where you don't have power. It doesn't seem like it's a storm problem. What are you gonna, I don't want the generator to turn on quite yet. Particularly, I mean, I guess if there's a heat wave or something and it's crazy hot, but even then your house is, particularly if it's starting to become night, like if this happened right now, it's 9:24 Eastern. So if it happened at 9 o'clock Eastern in the evening, even in the summer, it's going to really not get hot in the house till the next morning. So at least here in Virginia, I mean, if you live in Houston, Texas or something, it might be a different story. But for me, the insulation of the house is going to keep it not being too terrible, at least until morning. So I'd at least wait until the next morning before I started messing with the generator. I would make sure all the cars are locked. We do anyway, but if your cars are parked outside your garage or whatever, making sure they're locked and whatnot. That first night, even if it was like a big, severe, catastrophic calamity, that first night, nothing's really going to happen, in my opinion, for most people, because most people aren't going to realize it's a more severe thing for a couple of days. And so people aren't going to be, storming the neighbor's house for food and trying to raid each other for provisions and stuff. It's not going to happen for a little bit. So I think you're okay there. Okay, hold on. We got some chest rig and plate carrier advice. Look at what we got. Okay, hold on. Okay, so VA Bourbon Fan says might want to make time for the emergency table. I had a few minutes twice a day as a preventive measure. No, that's a good point. That's a point. I've had problems in the past with sciatic pain on one side, and I got that to go away, and I haven't really had any other issues. But yeah, it's probably a smart thing to do, especially now that I'm doing deadlifting again. Deadlifting always tends to tighten up my lower back really bad. The inversion table would be really helpful there. Capsaicin says, if you set it up right, it should not pull on any body part. Yeah, I didn't feel it pulling even that 35-pound pack. I actually didn't buckle the sternum strap, so it was kind of hanging off the back of my shoulder. But the way everything was sitting, and it's probably because my chest rig was really heavy too, I didn't feel like my shoulders were being pulled forward because of the chest rig or pulled back because of the pack. So I felt that was okay. Matt says, correct. You shouldn't be able to slouch, but you should be able to run. I did run. I mostly walked, but I did bring it up to a little bit of a run just to see if I could do it. And it was obviously not fun, but it was not a big deal. I didn't go far with the run. It was mostly just a walk. If it's too loose and can bounce, you're wrong. I didn't have it bounce. I felt, if anything, it was probably on the tighter side than necessary. If it's too tight and you're losing feeling in your shoulders, you're wrong. Okay, it wasn't too tight thing. So I didn't lose feeling the whole time. I started to feel it in my if anything, it was on my feet. Where it was the most uncomfortable was my feet. So Homestead Engineering says, if the power actually goes out at my house, there is probably no life on the planet. Okay. Well, if you're that prepared, that's excellent. That's a great situation to be in. In the last Capsaicin, in the last 5 years here in Michigan, I had a huge ice storm drop hundreds of 20-foot plus branches on my power lines, and then the next year a tornado in my yard. After that, I paid $9,500 to chop down all my trees. Yeah, though that's no, come on, Fred. My Commanders are down by the game's only been on an hour. How is it that bad? Sorry, I was not paying attention to the game. So Matt says, David, you're correct. That transformer blew and lost power for one day. All I did was open the fridge, and I can handle anything else. Yeah. Yeah, normally I do. I just didn't in that particular case because it wasn't bothering me. Normally when you put a heavy pack on, you can feel that pulling back, right? You pull it back and you feel that stress on your scapula and stuff. I just didn't feel that at all. So it was only a mile, so it wasn't, it was 20 minutes. Wasn't too bad. But yeah, definitely use your sternum straps because it definitely helps spread things out and balance it between the front and the back. Dennis the Bourbon Dad, how you doing, man? 28-0. It's not getting better, guys. That's not helpful. All right. Yeah, I do. I never go with just a front plate. If I have my plates on, I've got front and back plates on. I just, if I'm going to put it on one side, I might as well put it on both so that it balances that way. But okay. Next things to do is listen to the radio. Because that's where you're going to start to kind of get a sense for the severity. If you pick up a local station, that means that however big the disaster is, it's a big enough power outage that you've lost power at the cell tower, but it's not so big that you can't pick up FM stations, right? FM stations can broadcast for what? I'm not a radio engineer. What do the really powerful FM stations broadcast? Maybe 45 miles. In radius, 45, maybe 60 miles in radius. They're not that big. The FM ones, they can't carry the signal that far. So, but anybody know for sure? Yeah, a crank radio, solar radio. Honestly, what I bought off Amazon, they have these little $10 ones. They take double A's. Because I hate hand crank stuff. It drives me crazy. Solar ones are great though, but the ones I bought for all the kids for their kids packs. It's a little black radio about yay big. It takes AA batteries and it's just AM FM. It's good. FM radio is 30, 40 miles. Okay. About 30, 35, 40 miles. Okay. So yeah, so if you think about the cell towers, within most cell towers, you're what, a couple miles from the cell tower, maybe, I don't know, 10 miles. So you're looking at the disaster is at least as big as your cell tower radius or whatever diameter, the radius of your cell tower signals, but they're triangulated usually. So, and then if it's the radio's out, you're now okay. Or if the FM stations are coming in, it can't be a full regional outage because you can hear it. AM stations carry further. So if you can't get FM, but you can get AM, depending on where their towers are, that's telling as well. If you can't get any of the radios, now the thing is, most of the radio stations are actually run on backup power. So if they turn on backup power, they're likely going to be talking about the outage, right? They're going to, DJs come on or whatever, and they're going to be like, oh, it sounds like we've got a big blackout. Or, the government will put up the warnings saying there's power outages across the following counties, et cetera, et cetera. Be cautious. So that's another thing to think about is the how big the disaster, like the range of the disaster is. Fred says packs shouldn't weigh more than a third your body weight if you're in shape. Think about that. So if you're a 200-pound dude, what's a third of 200? But 70 some pounds? That'd be about right. I think the heaviest pack I ever carried backpacking, like multi-day backpacking, was probably around 60 pounds. And with a good, name brand pack with hip belt and, full frame, 65-ish. Yeah, it was probably around 60 pounds was the one I had, and it was doable. It was heavy. The hardest part is just getting it on, but once it's on, it's actually pretty comfortable. So anyway, all right. So now, okay, now I'm listening for the radios. One thing that I am doing is though the radio is on, it's not loud, because again, with power out, having the alarm out and having the door chime and whatnot not working, I want to be able to hear better, right? I am, I'm walking around the house, pacing around the main floor, checking, watching windows, looking across at the neighbors, looking out the back, and just having a little bit more of an eye around me, as opposed to just sitting in the, sitting on the couch listening to the radio. And again, I want to be able to hear things so the radio isn't crazy loud. I don't know about many of you, but one of the things that it's almost a superpower now. People talk about, like night vision being a superpower. And if I had I don't have night vision goggles right now. I'm trying to save up for them. If I had them, I would actually literally probably have either my skull crusher or helmet on with my night vision handy. I may not be running it, but I have it handy. So if I do hear something, I can obviously see things a lot better. Or if I'm looking out across the yard through the neighbors, area, or toward the woods or whatever, having the night vision on would be super handy. But the other kind of superpower is, I don't know if you've used any of the electronic hearing protection for firearms. They have they're set up so that they will block out the sound of gunfire, but you can actually have normal conversations with people. But you can crank those up so that you can actually hear better than standard human hearing, and it literally will amplify non-firearm noises. So that's definitely a helpful thing. All right, Matt, come save the day. AM radio during the day is 50 to 100 miles. At night can be over 1,000 miles. I should know. I live near 700 WLW, which can be heard in Denver. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Peltor makes good stuff. The ones I'm, what are they called? Starts with an S. It's Finnish or Swedish. Sorens. Is that the brand? Anyway, I just bought them not too long ago. That's what I've been using lately. Before that, I had like Walkers or one of those types of brands, the $50 ones. But then I finally broke down and bought some. I think it's Sorens. They were $250, $230, something like that. Peltors are great. OpsCore. I mean, they make even greater stuff, but now you're talking many hundreds of dollars. Yeah, NVGs are awesome. I just haven't gotten into them. Thermal, that's a game. Yeah. So, I mean, not that this is off your video, but yeah, what I want to do for me is just get like a PVS 14 on one side and then a thermal on the other and just go, back and forth when I need to. I feel like having the ability to do both is better than having two night vision. It's just my thinking. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what reality and the budget comes down to at some point. Yeah, you can do ham radios. The only tricky part about ham is it's a dedicated investment to actually take advantage of having ham. You have to get the license, take the tests and all that, which isn't that hard. Just again, it's more dedication. And for me, I have all of these prep things that I'm trying to do. And so it's like, do I put the investment of time and money into certain things? That's why I've always not done the ham thing. I'll have like my Baofeng, which I know it's not a ham, but you can get some of the same channels, some of the same capability in a very dumbed down way. And I get it's very different, but that's my compromise and my justification for not getting my ham license. So oh, it's just so there's no test fee. It's just a general fee. Yeah, it's less about the fee and it's more about the time of getting into ham. That's my excuse. It's probably a bad one. And if you've got yours, good for you. Cause like, I think it's awesome. I'm grateful for the guys who do it and gals that do it. VA Burn says, I have the GMRS around here. Someplace got one somewhere. Yeah. And that's exactly my thing, Capsaicin, is I try not to get too deep into any one particular thing because some guys are all about the guns, and some guys are all about the food, and some guys are all about the radios, and some guys are all about X, Y, and Z. And I try not to get into too deep in any one area because of time, finances, etc. But I'm grateful for people who do, because we do need experts out there for sure. Wait, Matt says, if you have a choice, do a monocle over a dual tube NVG. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of, my thought was to do a single PVS 14 on my dominant eye and then do a thermal on the other, or vice versa. I can't remember which the idea was. I planned it out at one point. So VA Burn says thermal for detection, NVG for ID. Pretty much. That's my understanding. Again, not the expert on it, but yeah, my thermal is amazing for detection, but you can't see what it actually is other than shape. So you want NVG for target ID and et cetera, et cetera. The other thing too is, NVGs can go through glass, thermal can't. So for example, if you're in your house, like in this situation where the power's out, so say I had night vision and thermal, both on my helmet, inside my house, looking out, thermal's useless because I can't get past the glass inside my house because it's just going to the temperature on my glass. So I want the NVGs that actually give me, okay, down at the woods, I see motion, right? So yeah, that's my thing. Homestead asks, if anybody out there, do you guys use the GMRS frequencies on your ham radios? Christian says, preps in order priority. Number one's water. I mean, you start with water, then you get to food, and then defense. And I don't mean get your water squared away for 6 months of water and then get food squared away for a year. I mean, get a week of water, a week of food, and then start working on your self-defense, and then kind of build it up and balance it going back and forth between gear, defense, food, and water. Okay, I'm hiding in the weeds. Welcome. Thanks for hopping on. Says you want that PVS 14 on your dominant eye. That's what I thought. because that's going to give you the actual objective clarity at distance at night, whereas the thermal won't give you that. So that makes total sense. So for me, my right eye is dominant. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you for confirming that. Appreciate that. Beans, bullets, and band-aids. It's a good list. I like that. Good list. And water. And then other gear. Yeah, first aid, that's one thing that I always tend to forget when I talk about my buckets. I kind of throw first aid in with the gear. So it's food, it's water, food, defense, and gear. And what I mean by gear is including band-aids. That's true. Matt, not disagreeing with you. All right. So, if you have night vision, obviously pull that out, because that's going to give you some benefits when you're looking out down the neighborhood, particularly if everything around you is completely blacked out. You're still probably going to get some ambient light from the moon and stars. With night vision, you do have to have some ambient light for it to work well. So, but basically at that point, I'm just now kind of just awake and trying to stay up. If I'm in a situation where the power goes out, the cell phone goes out, and there's no justifiable reason why the power went out, like there's no storm, et cetera, and I have to fall back on, I really don't know what's going on, particularly if I can't get any of the radio stations to come on, like any of the AM or FM stations to come on my handheld. Now, I might pull out, I don't really have any long distance ham stuff, particularly, basically, if you have one of those bow things, you can get some of those other, the other channels. The problem is that if you can't get AM or FM radio, you're very, very unlikely to get any long distance ham signal. So there should be somebody near you broadcasting ham, but it's honestly, unless you know what you're doing, it's probably not that great. What did I miss? I missed something from Cletus. I believe you work from home. Yes. Yeah, no, it's a very similar situation, Cletus, of just having a standard like get home bag in your car. And so if you're at work, frankly, look, I've worked in offices for many, many, many years. If the power goes out, can I actually call home and by my cell? Do I have cell signal still? If I have cell signal still, call home. Everything's fine at home, because again, I'm far enough from work that power outages may affect one area but not the other. So call if I can get home, talk to my wife. Then probably not a big deal. I can just stay at work and or take off depending on the situation. But if there's something wrong, I'm going home. Like, I'm not going to stay in the office. Like, my job isn't, I'm not like a critical person for society, like a policeman or a fireman, where, if they leave, like, it hurts everybody. Like, I'm just an office jockey. So, but yeah, having a bug out, or not bug out bag, but a get home bag is definitely something I would highly, highly recommend you have in your car, particularly if you are not working from home and you are on the road frequently at all. Frankly, anytime I'm in my car, I have my get home bag in the car. It's just I've gotten to where that's just the base setup. Yeah, there we go, Josh. That's perfect. Thermals to detect, NVG to ID. Yeah, the only tricky part is if you're inside the house and you're looking out, thermal can't get past the window unless you open the window up. And do you really want the window open, et cetera, et cetera? Which, for just a base power outage, I think NVG would be probably good enough. Okay, back to the power outage. You only have until the end of the year to get that third. Definitely take advantage of that tax credit if there's, if you're considering the solar for your home. It's a great thing to do for sure. VA Bourbon fan, the couple of TA field phones, a few kilometers of wire, and some D rechargeable batteries is a win. Damn hard to detect or intercept. Okay, that's pretty cool. I don't know anything about that. So that is something I'm gonna have to look up, VA Bourbon fan, because I know nothing about those things. So that's actually pretty cool. All right. Dennis says run PEQ 15. So my son and I would need NVGs to run the NVG. Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Click, click, click. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. That's what you were talking about, was like the old time movies and stuff. But I just know nothing about those things. So yeah, excuse me. Yeah. So uh, through that first night, especially if there's no radio, like if I can't get AM or FM radio, no power, I have literally no contact with the outside world electronically. I'm probably not going to bed that night, frankly. I'm definitely not getting in bed and getting comfortable. I'm, you know, at at very least sitting on the couch with stuff ready next to me, um, gear, kit, etc., in case something does go bump in the night. Not sleeping. I can sleep some during the day the next day when everybody else is up, but would need to, I definitely not be comfortable, especially if the power were truly out at the like radio station level, because that's the sign. I mean, frankly, if the radio stations don't have power and can't broadcast, they literally run generators so they don't lose power. But if they're out of power, then things are really bad. Do you ever hear about the Waffle House emergency scale? Really, really funny thing. Evidently, Waffle House has the most amazing emergency preparedness logistics system, and to the point where I believe is it FEMA actually pays attention to what Waffle House is to know and understand what the state of what's on the ground near the Waffle House. It's really, really funny. Fat Electrician did a whole 15-minute story about how amazing Waffle House's logistics network is. And by the way, I'm sure you guys heard him. Yeah, Waffle House emergency scale is a FEMA guideline. It's really, really funny, but it's true. They're good at it. Yeah, Fat Electrician seems like a really cool dude. Yeah, the slate roof, and yeah, so honestly, I don't love solar on the roof. I like the ability of being able to access it a little bit easier, but you have to have the yard space for it, which means you have to have a lot of yard space, and possibly be in a situation where you'd be okay having all that solar panel on the ground, because I know there's benefits and downfalls to it being on the ground versus the roof. Totally get it. Yeah, ground mounted on if you have open land. That's kind of my preference as well, just ease of access. But there's benefits to have it being on the roof. So, okay, what else? So I'm probably not sleeping much that night. I can sleep the next day while the wife and kids are awake and can monitor things while I catch up some shut eye. Gotcha. You got the small background. Yeah, you got backyard. Yeah, you got to have the full backyard to it. Yeah. Well, that's interesting, homestead engineering. Why did you move it from the roof to the ground? Was there an engineering reason, or was it preference, or because I feel like once you've already drilled everything into the roof, moving it to the ground would be a lot of work. So I'd love to know the driver for that. So the solar, okay. The solar thing, you can actually create an interesting, here's my thing, right? Because I can't, where we live right now, I can't really install stuff on the roof. And I try not to do a whole lot in the yard because we know we're not going to be here for a long term. And so if we're not going to be here for a long term, I don't want to invest a lot of money in a permanent solution when I know we're not going to be here. So everything that I try to do is portable. So I've got the EcoFlow Delta Pro solar generator, and then I've got the battery thing for it, and then I got the solar panels. The solar panels I all have are mobile. Now, some of them are like the foldable suitcase carry style, but some are like legit full-on 400-watt, 5-foot tall by 32-inch wide, something like that. Dimensions aren't quite right. But I can literally just move them around, right? Like I can carry them. They're, I don't know, 38, 40, 42 pounds, 45 pounds, something like that. But I can pick them up and move them by myself. And so they literally are just stacked back to back to back. And then if I need them, I just go set them out and lean them up against the basement wall. Because on our particular house, it would actually be on this wall right here is where I would lean them. And that literally tracks the sun the entire day. So as soon as it clears the trees on one side of the yard, it would be those leaned up against here at the 30-degree angle or whatever. Maybe it's 18, 28, 32, whatever it is, whatever the angle is for that particular yard, because I'm on a hill. So it just leaned it up against there, and then I'd have all the solar panels lined up. I can take them out, charge them up at night during the day, and then at night I can put them right back in the garage or bring them back through the basement door, keep them protected at night, etc. So it's kind of how I do it. Okay, Homestead Engineering says, why ground mount? You can set the angle, okay? You can set the location in a sunnier spot. You don't risk leaks on your roof. That's one of the big drivers for me. And you don't have to pull them off when you replace the roof, and that's another one. So, and the other part is the efficiency side of it. Yep. Okay. So yeah, that's my thing. My thing with solar. Let's see. Okay. So power's out. A lot of people are like, I'm sure some of you were thinking, oh, he's going to be talking about freaking out and like running patrols and chaos in the streets. I just don't think that's how it's going to happen. Now, I mean, if they come on the radio and are like, we're at war with, Russia and the East Coast or West Coast is, been hit by multiple nuclear strikes, different story. I'm talking about just a base power outage where we're just going to say it's there's not a direct reason that you know of in the moment. Not a storm, but you've lost all power, you've lost all cell comms, and you've lost the radio, like AM, FM radio. So it's at least a regional level thing, but you have no idea why. Nobody else is going to know why either. And it's going to take a while for things to degrade, for society, rule of law, all those things to just kind of crumble. And it would have to be a more severe thing to last for more days with still no information. So now I don't have a Starlink yet. That's on my list. It's more of a high dollar item. But that actually is on my list. So last time we lost power here for that ice storm, we lost internet, went down, and also the cell tower went down. I had no cell signal for, I think it was 2-3 days. And that was when I was like, okay, I've got to go Starlink, because I couldn't work. And I work from home. If I don't have internet, I can't work. And so I literally couldn't work for 2-3 days. So I was very upset about that. So I'm like, okay, Starlink's got to be a priority. So Starlink's going to definitely be something for me. And the benefit of that, obviously, is if the power goes out, I probably wouldn't mess with it the first night. But the next day, if the power's still out, once the sun's up and whatnot, I'm probably going to plug in the Starlink, get the signal up, and see if I can connect to Starlink. And if I can't connect to Starlink, now I'm going to really be worried, really, really worried at that point. If I can connect to Starlink, I'll at least be able to then tell where things are at. I think Starlink is one of the things that I think all preppers should really be considering getting fairly early in the journey, just for the ability to connect to internet and stay connected. I think we saw, what was it, during the North Carolina hurricane flooding that happened up in Nashville and stuff. We really saw the power of what Starlink can bring to the table. And again, $500. So it's the cost of like one firearm, one pistol, plus, monthly fee, etc. So, let's see. For the wind. Okay, great question. So when the sun comes up the next day, if the power's still out and if there's still no communication as to the source of the thing, that day is going to start getting a little more sketchy, because people are going to start being very, very scared. If, again, at that point, the lack of information is more scary than what probably is happening. But at that point, that's when people are scared. That's when people start being stupid. So particularly that afternoon, I would start being very, very cautious about being in public, being out of the house. That's just my nature. I would tend to start really hunkering down. That morning, sun comes up, fire up the Starlink, maybe just charge up the solar generator, plug in the fridge and the freezer and whatnot, and keep those things running through the day at least. And then again, hope by afternoon, before anything stupid starts happening, I probably start pulling the panels, for me, pulling the panels back in the house, closing up shop, and looking very inconspicuous, quiet, and just hopefully nobody notices my house, kind of thing. So, all right, Matt says, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Yes. Pretty accurate. I mean, I think that's really kind of the thing is, the longer there's lack of comms, the longer the radio stations are down, the longer the government isn't in contact, the longer people just don't know what's going on. They're going to start, like I said, they're going to get scared. And when they get scared, they get stupid, and they start doing stupid things. Now, to me, the real danger is going to begin the next day. It won't be that first day without power, that first daylight period out without power. It'll be the second and the third and the fourth, because now fridges are spoiled, food in the fridges are spoiled, stuff in the freezers are melted. Are people able to cook things? Are people getting hungry? Once people start getting hungry, or the water runs out and they're thirsty, again, after 48 hours kind of thing, that's when it's going to get really bad. Yeah, I thought that was, I was trying to remember the rest of it from Star Wars. I don't fully agree that fear leads to anger, but fear leads to, what's the best way of saying it? Fear leads to, how can I say this poetically? Fear leads to a amoral snap judgments. People when in a fear state will do things they wouldn't normally do. They will forget their morality, and they will just do what they have to, or what they think they have to survive, to not be hungry, to not be uncomfortable, to not be, etc. Most people, I deep down believe most people are genuinely good people. That's not everybody. And even good people will do terrible things when they are scared, which is, yeah, that's where we get to. And so, like I said, the first little bit of this extended power outage we played out tonight isn't the problem. It's what happens if it continues to go down and down and down. Yeah, situational ethics. It's a good point. It's a good point. Matt says, power outages are the main reason I won't ever be in a house without a gas range. I hate gas range, or I hate electric ranges. I love having my propane tank on my house. So yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for hopping on the live stream tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed this little hypothetical walkthrough, some chat, some back and forth. We hit on some other topics as well. But I appreciate you hopping on. Patrons, we will be doing a live stream tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. So all you patrons out there, hopefully we'll see you on our Patreon only live stream. And everybody else, stay tuned for next Sunday night when we can have another chat about another topic and some other stuff. And yeah, Matt, great thing to end on. We like to say that we know what we would do, but until you're in that situation, you don't really know. And that's how it is for everybody else out there. So that's one of the benefits of trying to be a little bit more prepared. Anyway, y'all have a beautiful evening. Have a great week at work. Patrons, we'll talk to you tomorrow night, and everybody else will see you either on Thursday or on Sunday. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.